All right, welcome on in everyone to another episode of First CSP, the channel dedicated to bringing you the first council shoulder patch issued from each council in Scouting America, both past and present. Today we're going to take a look at Pennsylvania Dutch 524 out of Pennsylvania. This council was originally formed in 1995 as a name change from Lancaster Lebanon 524. Got a couple of issues to take a look at today. Starting with the first issue, one of the easier ones to identify, the SA1 for Pennsylvania Dutch, with its white border, purple, fuchsia, orange sky. Quite the colors, looks very intense, but because of the white border and white lettering, it's not super dark. Unlike, say, Wichita area or something like that. But obviously, it does say charter member right there at the bottom. So you know this is the first patch they issued. Well, I should say, not all councils that have charter member patches, it's their first. But in this case, it is the first one that they issued. This is the SA1. See, it has this very unique kind of pinkish red backing. It is plastic backed. A more modern production, certainly. And then after this, they produced the same patch as their regular issue. It did come essentially in two variations, defined primarily about how the inside of this bridge is sewn directionally. We have the S2A and S2B, and then another one that is a special issue for the 25th anniversary of the council, which is the SA3. We're going to look at all of those here today. Obviously, the S2s will not have the charter member, but it is the same imagery. So here we have an S2A with the same white border, purple fuchsia orange sky, white fleur-de-lis. And if you look inside the bridge, the sewing is done horizontally. And that defines an S2A. Now, because this is essentially the regular issue for the Pennsylvania Dutch Council, they've done many production runs of this patch. And because of that, we actually have multiple production run examples for both the S2A and the S2B. So I'm going to put another S2A right down here. So we can see that these are different production runs. We have slightly different thickness on our text here. We can see some difference in the thickness of lines, say at the top of the grain silo, etc. You can just tell that these were different runs. One of the easiest ways is often to look at the fleur-de-lis. Here we have a very pointed fleur-de-lis. Here we have a more rounded fleur-de-lis. You can see that the arms look slightly different on the fleur-de-lis there. Also, the detail on the horse head looks slightly different. If we take a look at them from the back, this S2A has the same style of kind of reddish pink backing as the first issue, SA1. We get slightly different tonal variations, which also would hint at slightly different production runs between the two. But both of these have that horizontal stitching inside of the bridge. And you can see because it kind of feathers into the post here, which makes it easier to tell that that's going to be horizontal stitching in the bridge. Those are two examples, so two different production runs for the S2A. And then we have the S2B. Again, the same imagery. You can tell that they've almost upgraded to a little bit more modern stitching style by the weave on the background, how this all looks. This is more towards how kind of computer-oriented stitching looks nowadays. Everything's a little tighter, a little more refined. What we'll see this one defined by is that the inside here is actually vertically stitched. Might be a little bit harder to pick up on camera, but it is vertically stitched. Look at the back. These all seem to have white backing, not that red backing. We actually have 3 different examples of S2B production runs. Let's put another one here down at the bottom. Again, looking at the fleur-de-lis, we can see that these are 2 different production runs. Here we get nice little pointed arms on the fleur-de-lis. Here we kind of get rounded, tiny ones. You can see slight differences here. Now, I do not have more information on the order of when these were potentially produced, like which is an earlier S2B, what's a later S2B. Maybe someone that is from the Pennsylvania Dutch Council has better record for that. Again, this one also with that white backing. And we've got one more. Let's see if I can fit it in here. So this is also an S2B. We get slightly different size variations here. I do think that this last one is probably the most recent of the additions. It does have the BSA hologram sticker on the back. Most people outside of Pennsylvania Dutch Council collectors probably wouldn't care too much about all of these different variations of just the S2B, but we had them in our collection. I thought we'd go ahead and show them to you, and that is a great example of what happens with standard or regular issues that are worn on uniforms as they run out, so they need to do another run, and so you'll have the same issue and the same variant, S2B, but we've got 3 different production runs that were end up produced. Then we get kind of the shiny variation here. This is the SA3, so this is an activity issue, special issue for the 25th anniversary, as outlined here. They've swapped out their white border for that silver mylar. Really nice pop. Probably could have put this in silver mylar as well, but they kept it white. They kept it very in line with the tradition for the council. Really nice looking patch for the 25th anniversary. This one also has that kind of red tint backing. So it seems most likely that the SA1 S2As were all produced initially. They produced this 25th anniversary patch, which also has that red tint backing, and then later production runs of their regular issue, the S2 essentially, came back with those later white backgrounds on the backing, and those S2Bs were probably produced after this SA3, and they're just continuing to do runs of what is their regular council issue that would be worn on uniforms. So it takes you through a little bit of the history here for the first issues for Pennsylvania Dutch. Here we'll finish with the SA3 and then put up the SA1. So the SA activity issue was the first issue that says charter member, and then the S2As were the first regular issue for the council. Again, where the first issue is an activity issue, we always try and show you both the first and then also the first regular. I like to have those in our collection and be able to share those with everyone. There's a little bit of history of the beginnings of Pennsylvania Dutch Council. Hopefully you have enjoyed that. We'll be back again tomorrow with another new episode of First CSP. If there's something that you'd like to see on the channel, a council that we have not highlighted just yet, feel free to drop it in the comments below. Feel free to share with your other friends, scouts and scouters. Like, subscribe, all the things here on YouTube. Really supports the channel, and we appreciate that support. And until tomorrow's episode, we hope you all have a great rest of your day.